It's all right. Got like 10 seconds. I'm very tired today, so we're not gonna last very long. All right, I'm gonna call the regular session of the City Council of the City of Dunsmere to order at 6 p.m. on September 7th. Please stand for the flag salute. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we will move into roll call, please.
Councilmember Keisler.
Here.
And Councilmember Deutsch.
Here.
Councilmember Bryant.
Present.
Councilmember Clarno.
Here.
And Mayor Lucchese.
I am here, and we have one special presentation tonight from the California Civil Rights Department presentation on their California versus Hate campaign. And we have Becky on Zoom here today, and she'll be doing our presentation. So take it away.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you to all the council members for having us today. I'm going to share my screen here, and I think it looks like there's a screen in the room where you all will be able to see it. So just bear with me as I do that. Oh, I think I may need to get permission to share. That's.
Don't run with us.
I'll take that. I wish my computer obeyed you. Let me try one more time and see if I got it now. I do. Great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you so much again for having us here today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about a new resource we have from the state to provide support for people who are targeted for hate crimes. And this is a resource line and network that we think is not only helpful for individuals, but also helpful for communities that may be community organizations that may be supporting folks, religious organizations and institutions, as well as law enforcement. So I will go ahead and get started. Okay. I'm a lawyer, so I always have to have a disclaimer here. But again, today my goal is to give you a little bit of information about California versus hate. I also want to let you know about our work at the state's Civil Rights Department, to the extent that your constituents may be interested as well. So we are the state's civil rights agency for civil rights claims, which means we help people if they are targeted for discrimination in employment, housing, public accommodations, and also people who may be targeted for hate violence or human trafficking. So in order to do this work, we recognize that hate crimes don't happen in a vacuum, meaning it's important that we think about how we enforce all of our civil rights. So just, again, because the people you serve may be interested in having a better understanding of all of the work that we do, we enforce the Unruh Civil Rights Act, which helps people who may be targeted for discrimination in public accommodations, again, fair employment and housing, around equal pay. Then some of the work we do we may not be as familiar with is helping to support victims of human trafficking, again, as well as people who may be targeted for hate crimes. This is our new resource line and network. We have created, we were funded by both the state agency. We also received federal funding to support this work. And essentially what we do is we have developed a program. I've talked to hundreds of people. I've had hundreds of conversations, probably thousands of folks across the state, including, again, people who've been victims of hate crimes, law enforcement, local government officials, state officials. My own background, I worked both at the federal government level as well as outside of government. And what we heard was that people were really looking for a few main things from a resource line. They want to know their options if they're targeted for hate. If I want to go to the police, what does that look like? Can you help explain what that process looks like? If I'm not ready to go to the police, what are other resources that are available to me? How can I connect with resources and support with people who maybe have the same lived experience I do in terms of being targeted for hate? How do we better capture what is actually happening in our state and indeed in our country? One of the things in the past, I've worked a lot with law enforcement where there's a big interest in understanding hate activity and hate incidents, but it can be challenging because people the data we have, we know is not accurate. So part of what we're trying to do is to make it so people feel safe to report, so we can get a better picture of what's happening and share that information with decision makers like you and like other people across our state. And again, we have ongoing training for all folks who are involved in this, because we recognize this work can be, it is challenging, it is also changing. So making sure we're being as effective a support as possible. We can provide these services in over 200 languages if people call. Online, we have currently in 15 languages. And again, we have our phone numbers here. We have, as you can see, we are trying to do outreach in a lot of different languages to make sure that people who need the support are able to access it. And we are tapping into the 2-on-1 statewide network, who have a lot of experience in providing resources to people who may need social services and other kinds of support. Just to give you a sense of how we handle the calls and how we handle the work. If someone calls, they'll have a shorter intake call. And then we will have a longer conversation with them if they ask for it. And I'll just tell you from what we've seen so far, some people call and they just want to report it. They want someone to know what happened to them. They do not want to have any further action taken. And often these are cases where there wasn't a crime. It was an act of discrimination that harmed them, but it didn't arise to the level of a crime. In other cases, we've worked with people who have been in touch with law enforcement, and maybe they are feeling nervous about reaching back out to get more information. And so they ask for our support in doing that work. And we do that with them. We'll call the detective with them. We'll help them identify sort of who to talk to so they can get more information about their case. And again, the online process is somewhat similar, shorter initial process and then a longer follow-up. Like I said, we just let people know what their choices are, what their options are. If possible, we connect with community-based organizations. So in particular for leaders in Dunsmuir, if you know of an organization you think might be willing or help or to support people, we want to know about that. You see here on the slide, we have sort of some newer materials that are out for young people and for students across the state if they're facing bullying or discrimination, just to connect them with resources. And again, one of the things that's different about this system than other state systems in the past, perhaps, is that if someone wants support and they want that follow-up service, we will stay with them. So we don't just say, if they call and say, I would like mental health services or I would like legal services, we don't just say, here's 5 names and good luck. We say, here are several names. Let me call with you if you'd like me to. Let's see if they'll help you. And if not, I'll join you for the next call and we'll find someone who can. Again, people can report anonymously or they can share information. We are not a law enforcement line. We are happy to, if people want to go to law enforcement, we're happy to help them do that, but we are not one. So people can share this information without sharing any identifying information. The only exception, of course, is if there's a report that's made of child abuse, elder abuse, or dependent adult abuse, or activities that indicate an imminent risk of violence. We are working with a lot of community-based organizations who are telling us what we're doing wrong, which is a good thing to be told, and how to do better. So we have regular feedback sessions. We have, as you can see, a multilingual outreach campaign, and we're kind of developing this network across the state. For you, in both in city government, as well as if you work with religious institutions or nonprofit organizations or schools, we want you to know we've got resources that are kind of available online. We have a content hub. If you want to share the word about resources that are available, we've got social graphics, posters. You can customize it. You can put your city name on it. You can put your organization name on it. Our goal is just to try and serve as many people as we can. So if you don't see what you need here, you can also call me and we can help you develop something that would be more to your needs. I wanted to let you know, here's an example of what we could do for United Against Hate Week. The week of November 12th to 18th is United Against Hate Week in our state. It's a week, it's sort of like a call to action. So we are going to be sharing information about what cities can do. Sometimes in the past, there have been proclamations about sort of a commitment to combat hate or to support people in your community. There can be film screenings, just a commitment to sharing information. Sometimes convening faith leaders to talk about the work they do. So there's a whole host of things we can do. Again, we're happy to work with you if it's something you'd be interested in doing. And honestly, I'd love to lift up the work of Dunsmuir. We were, but at the state, I have to say, we were incredibly impressed when we had the chance to meet your mayor virtually and the commitment that you clearly have to making sure your city serves all. So if there's something we can do to support that with this week, again, we're happy to provide that support. And just so you know, there's other things happening in the state. So as I mentioned, there's the Commission on the State of Hate. That is a new commission that was created. It includes appointees from the legislature and the governor's office. They are working to produce sort of research that will actually inform how we do this work. How does law enforcement respond? How do others respond? And we're fortunate that they are kind of housed within the Civil Rights Department as well. So we're supporting them. And then we also have the Community Conflict Resolution Team. This is a team that could be a service to city government, to state government, to NGOs, to tribal governments, where if there's tension in a community, sometimes it helps to have a sort of neutral outside entity come in. This particular team cannot talk to enforcement within the Civil Rights Department, so cannot be involved in sort of suing an agency. But what it can do is get people to the table and try and identify if there is a way to address tension outside the context of the legal system, but really helping to sort of sometimes, and I did this work a little bit at the federal government level, and I've seen it work wonders to sometimes reduce the temperature on a difficult issue, help parties that feel like they are in conflict, identify common interests, and move forward to a problem-solving place, which again, I will say, in my experience doing this work, it's often city governments who are the best equipped to be problem solvers because there's not a choice. You have limited resources and you're used to having to do that. So it's just an option we wanted to let you know we can offer free of charge. And that is all I have. I have some additional information about hate crimes and hate incidents. If it's helpful, I'll make sure that you all have access to the slides. I'm happy to answer questions if it's appropriate. And just again, really thank you for inviting me and for caring about these issues. It means a lot, I think, to the people in your city and I think across the state. So thank you.
Thank you, Becky. We do have a couple of clarifying questions.
Actually, it's more of a recommendation. First of all, I appreciate your work and what your agency does. The one thing that I'm wondering is, have you reached out to the Siskiyou County Family Resource Collaborative? I think that would be a really good contact for you because I'm on the board of that and we run all the different resource centers in the county. And I think that would be a great place to kind of spread that information, particularly since for a lot of people, that's where they go when they have problems and questions. That's all.
That's fantastic. I'm sorry, could I ask you, because I didn't have my notes up yet, could you repeat the name again? It's the Siskiyou County Family Resource
It's a Siskiyou Community Resource Collaborative, Siskiyou
it.
Community Resource Collaborative. And if you want to, I can get in touch with you afterwards and give you a contact there.
I would really appreciate that. And I'll be in touch with them as soon as possible. That would be great. That is exactly the kind of organization, to your point, that we think can help us to get the word out. So thank you.
Yeah, and I do have Becky and all of her team's contact too, and I can share it with the rest of council after the presentation and all of the website with all of the information for social media posts and posters. Are there any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you so much, Becky, for your time today, and we really appreciate you sharing everything with us.
Of course, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Yeah, have a good night. All right, thank you, everyone. We'll move now into general public comment. This is the time in our schedule where you can comment on the presentation that we just saw or items that are not on the agenda and items that are on the consent agenda. And just to review those items on the consent agenda tonight are our check register for August 12th through the 25th. The second reading and adoption of ordinance 576, repealing chapter 15.40 signs of title 15, buildings and construction of the Dunsmuir Municipal Code. And then the resolution 2023-13 grant agreement with the California Division of Water Rights for Moss Spray Springs Emergency Chlorination Project. So if you would like to make a comment on the consent agenda, our special presentation, or items not on the agenda, this is your time to do so. And you'll have 3 minutes and you can approach the podium or you can raise your hand on Zoom and we'll give you some time.
My name is Cindy Foreman, and I live at 4187 South Summit View Drive. It has come to my attention that the railroad is going to be removing the retaining wall behind the dogwood trees that were planted bordering the parking lot on Sacramento Avenue. I believe this will cause the trees to die. Replanting the same trees will most likely cause them to die also. When we owned the brown trout, now known as the Wheel House, my mother would visit. She would sit across and look across the railroad track and always say, "Honey, you need to plant some trees in front of that fence. You need to make things prettier." I decided to buy 4 dogwood trees, the official trees of Dunsmuir, and plant them along Sacramento Avenue to honor our parents and follow my mother's wish. When Cheryl Petty, who owned the nursery a few doors down from the trout, and Linda Price, another business owner, heard about my idea, and together we decided to sell dogwood trees to beautify Sacramento Avenue. Soon others learned of this plan and began to purchase trees as a memorial for their loved ones, some who had already passed, and some, like my husband and my parents, that have since passed away. We received permission from the railroad and the city. In fact, city employees, in conjunction with Cheryl Petty, hooked up water and actually planted the trees. We sold 50+ trees, so many that some were planted at Hedge Creek Falls due to a lack of space on Sacramento Avenue. Each and every tree honoring a loved one. Often when I come down here, check on the trees and think of our parents. Linda had a plaque made with individual names and corresponding numbers to identify their particular tree. These trees are more than just trees. They are a legacy to loved ones and the heart of Dunsmuir. To destroy them would be criminal and bring dishonor to our community. It is unfortunately apparent that the trees will not be able to survive. Therefore, I would like to propose an alternative. Since these alternative that I believe should find a suitable new site within the city to plant new dogwood trees, securing the memory of many people who initially purchased the trees. I ask the city council appoint our city manager or an individual with similar stature to contact the railroad and request 5,000 donation. We believe this amount would allow for the purchase of new trees, plant them, and put in a drip system to keep them watered and healthy. One place we believe could be suitable site is near the park where the new city yard would be. There is a group of us that are willing to move this forward and help in any way possible to make this happen. When I was a young woman and rather feisty, my wise father told me, "Honey, you need to pick your battles."
Thank you, that's your time, but you can leave the written statement with us.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So
this is
thank,
my deal. I'm willing to die.
so thank you, that is your time. All right, are there any other comments on the consent agenda, the special presentation, or an item not on the agenda?
That we are members of the city council. I am requesting at your meeting that you allow for a special presentation of 15 to 30 minutes for the members of Dunsmuir Live to talk about our efforts to restore the health of the freedom. I find myself either R58 Sacramento Avenue, I'm a resident, I'm a business owner, I'm a member of Dunsmuir Live. Our presenter will be Patricia Ward. Patricia Ward leads the Siskiyou Arts Council. The Siskiyou Arts Council is fiscal sponsor for Dunsmuir Live. Over the summer, in anticipation of the city starting to enforce abandoned building ordinance against downtown buildings, we have been meeting regularly, and we now have 6 examples in the North State of small communities, some smaller than Dunsmuir, that restored their neighborhood for the benefit of downtown commerce and the benefit of its community. In every instance, it required community support. I think we have to appreciate that the things that happen in our community are mostly because of committed citizens. There is more work done by service clubs and by committed citizens that make up for the very small staff the city has. So we're hoping to start developing partnerships. We need to partner with the community as the community supported when Sonic gets it. We need to partner with the city and do millions of dollars to take to reopen and enjoy the benefits of the California theater. We can do this. We're sure we can do it. Preliminary discussions with funders have already begun. So the sooner we can work together on what this council agreed was crown jewel of downtown historic district, the better it will be for all of us. We have intelligence, energy, we work well together, and we would like the honor of talking to you for a while at the October 15th.
Thank you. Are there any other comments for general public comment? And again, if you would like to make a comment, you can line up at the podium too, just to save time, so go ahead.
Hello, Allison Chesky, 5334 River Avenue. Thank you, Becky Monroe, for your presentation. This struggle was real. 2 months ago, I came up here as a supporter of the abandoned and distressed ordinance, which includes City Hall. And I asked, why do we have a piece of plywood still there? We're trying to enforce this. Here we are again, and we didn't even, in pure Dunsmere spirit, we didn't even put a little paint on this and call it good for 30 years. It's just still there. And I'm wondering, what's up with that? And it's just also, on another note, it's so wonderful to see all these people here, all of the civic engagement. It doesn't take you, Cindy Foreman, to be feisty. You still got it, girl. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Heady, I live on Siskiyou Avenue. And I was one of the founders of the Dogwood Project. And I'm here to support some kind of, fair and generous compensation for moving these trees. I just want you to know, I still have my plants. Every single tree, I know where it goes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ernie Watson, 307 South Second. I'm just an horticulturist for the Botanic Garden, and I'm just here to support the idea of a replacement fund for the dogwood trees that will be lost during the new ramp and the handicap access, everything that should be done at the railroad. That's really good, but at the same time, we need to keep our dogwood status. Beautify the town. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other general public comments?
Hi, my name is Samantha Gigola. I am the president of the chamber, and I'm here to support also the dogwood. We used to have dogwood days, now we don't, but that is one of the first things we see in the spring are all those dogwoods blooming. And it would be wonderful to have some kind of resolution that would bring us together in support of all the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Big Dave, Matthew, our friends, John and Hannah, and I hate this, sorry about this. Okay, and Victor Martin have authorized me to talk about it. It is plaguing a lot of the city all on Sacramento Avenue. We have been dealing with cars parking the wrong way, semis blocking that historic district. We all know how hard it is to keep a business open in Dunsmere. And now we have LNS parking And all the parking that's there was put in for just the purpose, when we paid for it, just the purpose of having parking in Sacramento Avenue. So they're asking that we take our code enforcement officer, city manager, have some kind of discussion with the rail and LNS and see what we can do to mitigate. You have to know how hard it is to have a business in this town, and these are our friends. So we need to support them and making sure their businesses have access and that they don't have to struggle one more time. We've been very patient as a town. We've had issues before. So let's just talk to them, see what we can work out, really. But they need to provide or allow parking, especially for the weekends. And these are our friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other general public comment? Seeing none, we will close general public comment, move into council and staff comments, and I'll start with our city manager today.
All right, welcome, welcome everybody. Thank you, Mayor. So it's been a short but busy week, and I've been gone the last couple of weeks, taking some time off. But really the focus has been on the water line for Caltrans and kind of discussions about that and how they're planning to replace our 14-inch water main across the southbound bridge. Tellendale Park, been addressing some issues there related to it not being open, and the scheduling and those kind of things, and then over encroachment into areas that they shouldn't be in, and so that's swallowed a bunch of my time this week. Public Works building update. Been working with Parks and Rec on the move out, and other associated organizations. And we're starting to plan for cutting down the trees in that specific area, as well as finishing the water line. Hopefully that stuff will be accomplished by 1st of October. And to address Mario's comment, the parking that we do lease from Union Pacific, I did negotiate that they wanted to take it away from us, all of it. And I did negotiate to keep the lease and keep our access. And so in that component, we do have to be kind of flexible in allowing some parking for their staff on occasion, and the contractors, because parking, as we know, is limited. And so we are working with that, and I am aware of, we've been working on the parking the wrong direction kind of stuff whenever we are aware of it.
Right, thank you. Do you want to give an update on the window door replacement on City Hall?
Oh, yes. So that we are replacing that door. We have not started that project yet, so we're not gonna go spend money on a window, and we're gonna replace the door. So.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions, comments, concerns?
Should we paint the wood?
I don't have paint to match, but maybe we can find some.
Sergeant Ortiz, do you have an update for us today?
Mine's short, Mayor. We did have a stabbing incident on the 6100 block of Dunsmere Avenue. The person that was stabbed is doing fine. The investigation continues. We know the involved parties. There is no danger to the public as a consequence of this incident. But the investigation is ongoing.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the sheriff's office today?
I did have a quick one. I heard there was a commotion down by Hedge Creek Falls. 5 or 6 different police vehicles, because maybe it was highway patrol. I don't know if you've never heard anything about it.
So the Hedge Creek Falls was a hot spot yesterday for DUIs. The first one was a man had requested a civil standby from the sheriff's office. He arrived. He asked the deputies to meet him at the Hedge Creek Falls parking lot, and he arrived driving his vehicle drunk. So he missed his civil standby and was instead arrested. And then the second later that was around lunchtime. And then, I mean, I can't make these things up, but so, and then the next one was a slow speed pursuit initiated by the California Highway Patrol. The man was speeding through the road work, and the Highway Patrol officer's attention was drawn to the driver after the driver extended his arm out the window to flip him off while speeding. in the works of. And that, he also was a DUI driver. From
Thank you.
Oregon.
Thank
was
you
the
very
report.
much.
Question?
No, we don't do questions. We've gone through public comment at this point, so thank you. We're gonna come back to council member comments. I'm gonna be very brief today. I just got done having COVID for 11 days. It is still happening. I lasted 3.5 years. It's not pleasant. If you do not feel good, do not go outside. Please wear a mask. Yeah, so I have nothing to update because I was kind of dead for 2 weeks. So
I'll keep mine fairly short. Just for anyone who's unaware, I want to add a quick supplemental thing to what they were talking about, the dogwoods. Is this is not related to the UP project that's currently ongoing where they're removing all the topsoil.
it's with Amtrak.
Yeah, it's with Amtrak. They have a grant. They're putting in a new ramp or concrete walkway and handicap access for the passenger trains. I just wanted to make sure everyone's aware that those two projects are separate.
Thank you. Councilmember Ryan,
I have no comments this evening.
Councilmember Deutsch.
Yes, ma'am. Two things. I just thought I would point out that on the local transportation commission, I had been pushing, and I know the council here had sent an unmet needs to the local transportation commission last August, bringing up 4 different needs that weren't being met by our local transit agency. Earlier this year, I got onto the task of identifying a student through the process with UCLA. They have capstone projects where graduate students, as part of their degrees, come in and spend a good period of time working on a project. And I was able to submit that to UCLA, and I have in front of me a resume from a young woman who is excited about fulfilling that project. And what's interesting and I really liked about it is in her email to me, she said that she's from Florida and she always had a sense of recognition of the challenges that rural communities have when it comes to transportation. So it'll be on the agenda for the meeting on Tuesday, and my feedback from both chairman of the commission and the new executive directors, they're behind this, and basically what the project would do would be to do a study on from the what I'm calling a zero base. In other words, if we forgot about the existing system and simply looked at the South County, because that was recognized that there is such a difference between Wairika and all the other cities in the South County, that we would be able to come up with a whole new system based on what the needs are, and what the opportunities are, sort of like a SWOT. And so that's what I'm hoping we'll be moving forward with. And so my dream of coming up with a new system that really serves people of Dunsmuir and the South County is taking a step forward, and I'm excited about that. Secondly, I just wanted to point out the Rotary Club has been led for I think 3 years by Susan Peeler, who besides retiring is no longer the president of the Rotary Club. And in her honor, the club got together and purchased what are called peace bowls. And they're an international thing that Rotary does, and it's a pole. And Dave was involved in putting this in the concrete at the elementary school. And it's a tall pole in about 8 different languages, and it all says things like peace on earth or may peace prevail. And the languages were chosen by Ms. Keeler so that they represent students that are actually here in the area. Next Wednesday morning, there will be a special presentation to that where each of the students that live and work here in our community that have the different languages will read their part of the Peace Bowl. So it's a special honor for Ms. Keeler, who led us through a lot of different things, but it's also a nice addition to our community. And I'm looking forward to anyone who wants to show up at about 7 o'clock on Wednesday. That's where it will be.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Keisler.
I had the honor of installing that thing today. And the one thing I noticed was there was a little plaque with Braille. Where if somebody was blind, they could see, hey, you're in Dunsmuir, we're promoting peace. And I too want to commend Becky, thank her for all she's doing on the hate thing. That's about all I got.
All right, thank you. Are there any committee reports for today? I don't think we had anybody have a committee. Great. And for those who came for the Dogwoods and special presentation, we can't take action on items that are not on the agenda, so we will get in touch with you on those items. So we'll move into item number 7, which is approval of the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes today. We have the special meeting minutes of August 9th and the regular meeting minutes of August 17th. Is there any discussion or motion?
I'll make the motion, first motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting of 8/9.
You could do both in one motion.
And then I will also approve the minutes for the regular meeting of 8/17.
All right, there's a motion by Councilmember Keisler, second by Councilmember Deutsch to approve both sets of meeting minutes listed as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. Thank you. We'll move into consent agenda tonight. Items, as I said before, 8A, check register for August 12th through 25th. Item B, second reading and adoption of ordinance 576, repealing chapter 15.40 signs of title 15 buildings and construction of the Dunsmuir Municipal Code by title only. So small friendly amendment there. And 8C, resolution 2023-13 grant agreement with California Division of Water Rights for Mossbury Springs Emergency Chlorination Project. And just a quick note on that, we are not chlorinating the water. It is a state required emergency pack only. So we are not chlorinating the water. Is there any discussion or motion to
I
approve?
make a motion to adopt the agenda.
There's a motion by Councilmember Keisler. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Councilmember Clarno. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, motion carries. We're going fast tonight because we have no other items on the agenda, but we do have items, so we will skip to item number 12. Future agenda items, we have a couple items there, and as I said before, we will get back to other people who have brought up public comment.
I think we need to recognize that I believe 3 people are going to be missing at the next meeting.
Correct, and so we will get in touch with you about potentially canceling that meeting. We will, yes, because I will be coming back from a conference as well, so we will be in contact. We may not have a next meeting until October. Any other future agenda items? Oh, you want to deal with it now?
I'm kind of thinking we should maybe put on a future agenda item about this dogwood thing.
Okay, yeah, we'll get back to him. So one of the things about the dogwood thing is it is on federal property, therefore it is not within our jurisdiction to regulate or do anything with the property, but we have talked about it today already and we'll follow up with what some options may be for the council to consider.
Then my other quick thing would be, as Peter said, we're talking to them about the parking issues down there, right? Victor's had enough hard enough time that.
Parking, where at?
Down Sacramento Avenue, the parking. What Mario
Oh,
was
the
talking
parking,
about.
yeah, I've been in discussion with him about parking continuously, and so I know Mark has been addressing it as he sees it, so.
Okay, and that's all I got.
So again, just to cut down on discussion, because the item is not on the agenda, are you requesting future agenda? item? Okay, any other future?
I just wanted to follow up on items we've already described for future agenda that haven't been put on the list yet. Review of the historic district review board or.
Mhm. Yep, it is on. I apologize, I didn't make it on this
Right,
agenda.
and then I think that's the main one.
Yeah, I will make sure it gets on the list for future agenda items, but it is on the long-term list. Any other future agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move to item 13, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
There's a motion, second?
I'll second.
There's a second. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, we are out. Thank you, everybody.
Sorry, Madam Mayor.
I know. I actually, I forgot that we have presentation by Becky.